I don't really talk about the apartment on Aldermore Street. Not because it's hard to explain, it's actually pretty simple to explain. That's the part that bothers me. I moved in during early March, third floor of an old 5-story building. The rent was low, lower than it should have been for that area, and I noticed that, but I didn't ask about it. I needed a place and it was available. That was enough for me at the time. The landlord's name was Paul. He met me there on a Tuesday afternoon to hand over the keys. Normal guy, quiet. He showed me where the fuse box was, told me the water pressure on the left tap ran a little high, and said if anything needed fixing to text him rather than call. Then he left. The whole thing took maybe 15 minutes. I spent the first evening unpacking. Nothing unusual. The apartment was fine. A little cold, but fine. That night I slept okay. New place sounds, you know how it is. Pipes, the building shifting. I didn't think anything of it. The second night, I woke up at 1:10 in the morning. I lay there for a second, not sure what had pulled me out of sleep. Then I heard it. A slow, dragging sound coming from directly above the ceiling. Heavy, deliberate. It moved from one end of the room to the other, and then it stopped. I waited. Nothing else. I told myself it was the building. Old buildings make sounds you can't always explain. I turned over and eventually fell back asleep. But it happened again the next night. Same time, roughly. Same sound. That low, dragging pull moving across the ceiling above me. And the night after that. And the night after that. By the end of the second week, I had started keeping a note in my phone, just logging the times. 1:05, 12:55, 1:22, always within that same window, always the same direction, east to west, sometimes stopping part way and starting again from a slightly different spot. I texted Paul, asked him about the neighbors upstairs on the 4th floor. His reply came the next morning. He said there were no neighbors on the 4th floor. He said the building only had 3 fully livable floors. The 4th had been closed off years ago after some kind of water damage. Sealed. He used that word specifically. Sealed. He said there was nothing up there. I read that a few times. Then I put my phone down and sat with it for a while. I tried to let it go. I really did. I told myself that sound travels strangely in old buildings, that pipes can mimic almost anything, that there was a perfectly reasonable explanation I just wasn't aware of. And then one night, around 2 a.m., the dragging stopped directly above my bed. Not near it, not across the room, directly above where I was lying. And it just stayed there. Silent. The way something is silent when it's holding still on purpose. I didn't move for a long time. I just looked up at the ceiling in the dark, waiting for something to happen. The next morning, I walked up to the 4th floor landing. There was a door there, plain gray metal, with a padlock on it. I stood and looked at it for a while. The casing around the lock was rusted and old, but the shackle, the part that actually secures it, looked newer than the rest, cleaner. I can't say for certain, it just didn't match. I brought it up with Paul the next time he came by. He was fixing the bathroom tap. I asked him, casually, what was behind that door on the 4th floor. He kept his eyes on what he was doing. He said it was storage, maintenance equipment. He said it had been locked up for years and there was nothing in there worth getting into. He said it in a way that felt more like a suggestion than an answer. I let it drop. But a few nights later, I woke up again, 1:40 a.m. The dragging was there, slow as always, and then it stopped. And in the silence that followed, I heard something underneath the quiet. Faint, rhythmic. I know what I'm about to say sounds strange. I know how ceilings work, but it sounded like someone breathing. Slow and even, coming from right above me. I lay completely still and listened, and it went on for what felt like a couple of minutes before it faded. I stared at the ceiling until it got light outside. The next morning, I went back up to the 4th floor. I looked at the landing more carefully this time. And that's when I noticed something I'd missed before. To the left of the main door, there was a utility cabinet pushed up against the wall. It wasn't quite flush. There was a gap behind it, a narrow door, shorter than a normal door, dark, no padlock, just a handle. I moved the cabinet a few inches. The door opened easily. Behind it was a staircase going up, steep and narrow, no light, and the smell hit me immediately. It wasn't mold or rot, it was something warmer than that. Stale in the way that a room gets when it's been occupied for a long time with the windows closed. I went up maybe 8 steps. There was a mattress against the far wall, no frame, just flat on the floor, a battery-powered camping lantern beside it, switched off, a few plastic bags, a tin cup. The mattress had an indent in it, the kind that forms from consistent use over time. On the wall beside it, low down near the floorboards, there were marks scratched into the plaster. Lines, grouped in sets. I knew what kind of marking meant. I didn't want to think about how long they went on for. And the floor in front of the mattress was strange. The dust had been disturbed in a long, wide arc, dragged smooth in a path that curved across the floorboards and back again, over and over until the wood itself looked faintly worn. I went back down, put the cabinet back, walked to my apartment and sat on the bed. I moved out 9 days later. I've spent a lot of time since then thinking about what I saw up there, about the marks on the wall and what they were counting, about how long someone would have to stay in one place to wear down a floorboard like that. And I think about the lantern, battery-powered, sitting right next to the mattress, pointed straight down at the floor, at the exact spot where my bed was. I never figured out how someone would have gotten in or out without being seen. I never found out how long that room had been used or whether Paul knew. I have theories. I haven't looked too hard into any of them.